What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We're going to give you our Pac-12 projected records here in this video. You know, the Pac-12 might be the third best Power 5 conference this year. I think definitely if you look at the top 4, 5, 6 teams, they're better than the Big 12. They're better than the ACC. This is going to be a very interesting conference. And I think these teams may wind up beating up on each other, and it may be tough for them to get a team into the college football playoff. And you're going to see that reflected here in these projections. So remember, I've done every single Power 5 team. I've previewed the schedule. I've projected the record based off of that schedule and how good all these teams are expected to be. If you want a good explanation on how we got to these records, go back and watch those videos on the individual teams. But let's get into it here, and we're going to start at the bottom. So these three teams at the bottom: Cal, Arizona State, Stanford. I think most people would agree with this. These teams are the bottom 3 teams in the Pac-12 this year, or will be the bottom 3 teams. I don't really think that any of them surprise. Arizona State maybe has the potential with a new coach, new quarterback. If things go just right for them, maybe they surprise and have a better season. But all these teams projected to go 4-8, 2-7 in the conference. Also, remember, our projections were based off of the overall records, not the conference records. I just kind of filled in the conference records based off of what I thought made the most sense with these overall records, the most likely scenarios to get the wins and losses to come out even. So Cal, Arizona State, Stanford, those teams figure to be at the bottom of the Pac-12. I think this next team might be a step ahead of them, maybe even more than that. This is a tough one to figure out. Colorado, I've got them at 3-6 in the conference, so ahead of Cal, Arizona State, and Stanford in the conference standings, but 4-8 overall, same overall record. They've got a really tough non-conference schedule with TCU and Nebraska, and so I've got them at 4-8, but that's based off of where Colorado was last year, and then, you know, giving them room for a little bit of improvement this year. They may make a ton of improvement, though. This team might be much, much better. They might be in the top half of the Pac-12, or maybe they're not. Maybe it takes Deion Sanders a little bit of time, but I feel like with the roster turnover and the excitement around this program going through the offseason, I feel like they're going to have some belief. They're going to be a much improved team. The roster is going to be better, and I think they're going to be better than 4-8 more than likely, but the projection does put them right there at 4-8, along with Cal, Arizona State, and Stanford. The only difference is they have a tougher non-conference schedule, and that's why that conference record is actually a little bit better. So Arizona also came out at 3-6 in the conference, 5-7 overall. This is another team that I think has potential to surprise this year. Maybe they finish in the top half of the Pac-12. The problem is, you know, with Arizona, Colorado, are they going to beat teams like Oregon, Washington, Utah, USC, and even go even further than that, Oregon State, UCLA? Are they going to win those types of games? You know, it's hard to imagine them doing that. Maybe they pull off an upset somewhere along the way, but this is just going to be a really tough conference. Those top 6 teams are all really good, especially the top 4, and that's why it's going to be tough for teams like Arizona and Colorado to really do much better than 3-6 in the conference. So I've got Arizona just ahead of Colorado at 5-7. And then Washington State, I think this is a team that's kind of not quite in that top tier with those top 6 teams, but I think they're better for sure than Cal, Arizona State, and Stanford. Probably a little bit better than Arizona and Colorado, unless those teams do turn out to be surprises this year. But we've got them at 4-5 in the conference, 6-6 overall. Again, you could flip that around. Let's say they don't lose a game in the non-conference, then they're going to be at 3-6 in the conference. However it comes out. Again, our projections based off of the overall records. Remember that. So let's go to the top 6 teams now. We've got Oregon State and UCLA down at the bottom. I do feel like these teams are pretty even. I think they're a little bit behind those top 4 teams. I know there are many that will argue, especially for Oregon State. And I think Oregon State's going to be a good team. And how good is DJ? You know, he wasn't great at times at Clemson, but he has potential. If he comes in here and he's an elite quarterback, Oregon State probably elevates into that top tier, but I don't know that he's going to do that. That is still, I think Oregon State, UCLA, very good teams. 5-4 in the conference is their projection, and 8-4 overall. And then we've got Utah. So they're actually tied with the top 3 teams in as far as the conference record goes at 7-2, but they're projected to go 9-3 overall. because they've got Baylor and Florida on the schedule, and the odds would say that they're going to lose one of those games. I'm not saying that they will, but again, if you just play the percentages, that would put them right there at 9-3, 10-2. That seems to be where Utah is, but with a pretty tough non-conference schedule, that's why they wind up there at 9-3. But still 7-2 in the conference, and then you've got your top 3 teams also going 7-2, but going 10-2 overall. So that's why they are ahead here in the video, because they have a higher overall record. So USC, Washington, Oregon, all 10-2, all 7-2 in the conference. Can any of these teams break through and get through this gauntlet of a Big 12 schedule and get through there with one loss and then turn around, win the Pac-12 championship? I just think it's going to be tough. I think that this conference is too good, and that's why I said before, I don't really see a team out of the Pac-12 in the college football playoff. Could it happen? Sure. And these teams, I think, are all capable of being top 5 teams, no doubt about it. All 4 of them have that potential. But the way the season goes, the way this conference works out, I just think it's going to be tough for one of these teams to make it into the playoff. But again, our projection, 10-2 for all 3 of these teams, 7-2 in the conference, and then Utah also 7-2, but 9-3 overall. We'll see how it shakes out. Maybe someone breaks through. Maybe someone makes it to the college football playoff and represents the Pac-12. But like I said, I think it's going to be tough. What are your thoughts on the Pac-12? Which records do you think are going to be off the most based off of these projections? Again, these are not predictions. We'll be doing those later. But these are just projections. And so give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.